we're ready to talk about Paul Herendeen. So Paul is the Director of Impact Market Development at Clearwater Credit Union, where he works to advance their mission to help people by developing programs like providing loans that are usually really hard to get. For instance, for rooftop solar or to buy a manufactured home. And prior to working in finance, he spent 7 years in climate-related research for the U.S. Forest Service and U.S. Geological Survey, and co-authored a chapter in the Montana Climate Assessment. So we're ready to see Paul's video.
Good evening. I'm going to be talking tonight about the economic impacts of climate change on Montana. Now, that's a big topic, but you can really think about that in terms of two categories. First of those are the economic risks of climate change, and the second is the economic opportunity that climate change presents. So on the risk side, what do we know? We know that Montana is getting warmer. We know that precipitation patterns are shifting, and we have some evidence that severe weather events and wildfires are getting more severe and more frequent. Based on our understanding of the physics, we expect those trends to continue. And these are really going to impact a number of the major sectors of Montana's economy. Agriculture is at risk of losses due to changes in weather patterns and also increased costs of crop insurance. Tourism, a $7 billion a year industry, is at risk from increased wildfire and bad smoke years. Think about 2017 when Seeley Lake lost essentially their entire summer season. Our fossil fuel industry is at risk as the market moves away from fossil fuels and from coal specifically. And that's a trend that is not solely attributable to climate change, but one that has been going on for other reasons as well. Our homes are at risk from those wildfires and severe weather events and floods. And even if your home isn't affected, you may be at risk of increasing costs of insurance or the risk that your home may become uninsurable entirely. The challenge with all of this is the uncertainty involved. We have a pretty good handle on the physics of climate change at the global scale, but translating that to what happens locally is much more difficult. On top of that, we don't know what emissions pathway we're going to follow. We don't know how the economic effects are going to manifest, and we don't know what the policy response to all of this is going to be. So in the face of all of this uncertainty, what do? Instead of trying to predict exactly what we think is going to happen, I would argue that we should be working on building resilient systems that are robust to the effects of climate change, that we're ready to assist people affected by this, and that we are working towards a low carbon economy, which has the dual benefits of helping us avoid the worst effects of climate change and also protecting us against changes to our energy system, particularly perhaps increased costs of carbon emissions, something like a carbon tax. Now, the good news about this is that building these resilient systems is a tremendous opportunity for economic development. To address climate change, we're going to need to make major changes to our energy infrastructure, to our buildings, to our transportation infrastructure, and all of these are opportunities for economic development and productive investment. We're going to need to bring our energy system into the 21st century, build a smart grid, develop renewable energy sources, and as one example, this is a great opportunity for Montana. Montana has one of the best wind resources in the country. We have a tremendous solar resource, and our major export customers for energy in the Pacific Northwest are moving away from fossil fuels. So building out this resource can provide good local jobs, provide local tax revenue, and land lease revenue. For instance, a Department of Energy study estimated the potential for $175 million a year in tax revenue and land lease revenue from wind projects by 2030. So there's a lot of need here. These are big projects. But these projects, when we've done them in the past, have had big benefits. Think about things like the interstate highway system or the Tennessee Valley Authority. We've had major periods of investment that have laid the foundation for decades of economic growth and prosperity after that. Climate change is a big, complex problem, but we have a lot of smart, hardworking people ready to tackle it. We have a lot of investors ready to fund that. And if we can come together on this, we can really build a strong, resilient economic foundation for Montana for years into the future. Thank you for your time. I know that's a very short treatment of the topic, so if you have any questions, do stick around for the Q&A or feel free to reach out to me by email. Thanks.
Thanks, Paul. That is so heartening that there's a lot to look forward to, too.